So with this small section after our coffee break, I would like to briefly elaborate from a domain expert's point of view on what can and should be improved when it comes to engaging domain experts in the use or the development of ontologies. And so since its domain-specific ontologies always codifies the domain knowledge, its development and also maintenance relies heavily on experts who provide their knowledge. And for this, two quite different partners in terms of their knowledge and prerequisites must come together and should ideally also speak the same language for good collaboration and communication, if one may use this metaphor. So on the one hand, we have the semantic engineers or the ontology engineers who has the expertise on methodologies used to build representation of knowledge and also to clarify the relation between those concepts. These people have often a background in information science and can provide an overview and have the knowledge of the relevant also upper ontologies and their underlying pattern. And on the other hand, we have the domain experts who have, or he or she has comprehensive knowledge of their own domain. He or she is an expert, has expertise in the applied concepts, methods, and procedures, etc., and knows exactly how to analyze the domain-specific data. And of course, what is most important, the specific parameters which are particularly interested also for other scientists in this domain. But often it is the case that they have only mainly limited on the domain programming knowledge to analyze their data. And so this is why they have different, these both partners have different starting points and experience, and that's from that there are results some obstacles to overcome when it comes to close collaboration. And some of the typical statements that describe these barriers I've put here together on this slide, and I would like to go into some more details on the following slide and explain how certain tools, such as our already presented NFDI for Chem TS, can help facilitate and improve the collaboration. So one major challenge is when using terminologies for data annotation is that one has to decide which term to use from which terminology. And in order to be able to make the right decision, one must either already know which terminologies and terms are suitable for my specific scientific content or use case, or more likely, one must be able to gather this knowledge by browsing the available terminologies. And the terminology service with a graphical user interface can be such a resource, which renders the terminology comprehensive for humans and should therefore be able to provide as much detailed information as possible on the terminologies itself, as well as on terms they contain. And this aspect is especially crucial when there is a need to compare multiple ontologies covering the same or overlapping knowledge domains like chemistry and catalysis. So domain experts need to be able to see the semantic difference, similarities, as well as interdependencies between in terminologies and to make an informed decision. Another important aspect is that within the discussion between ontologies engineers and domain experts, we have learned that tools to browse ontologies should be applicable and simple and uncomplicated as possible. So and should be close to similar tools domain experts already know and using. And often they've been still rather unfamiliar with terminology service and its standard tree view for browsing an ontology. Our domain experts often requested to have also a kind of a tabular view, which list where they can easily see the available times to get a better overview. So a first step was that we were switching from a pure protease-based editing approach to a one that uses spreadsheet and TSV files as an input format for definitions of new classes, etc. But also this approach makes it easier for the domain expert to directly see, comment and edit all the existing classes or create even new ones with common spreadsheet editors like Excel. It's often the case that it's too much of a hurdle to access and change the TSV via GitHub. Third point, which is mainly a hurdle, is so that when domain experts work on or with ontologies, that cannot be done in a unified environment. So when it comes to discussing term definitions and metadata or ontology, so related questions, as well as when one wants to request new terms, the most common approach is in open source development is to file issues in Git-based repositories where the ontologies are maintained. So At the moment, typically the users have to leave the trusted environment, the terminology service, to do so, which is an extra effort for the domain experts. And this has caused us to think about how we can use a terminology service as a kind of a medium to simplify such interaction, and it would be much more user-friendly to be able to at least list such external issues, and in the best case scenario also read, write, or comment on them directly from the trusted environment like the TS. And also relevant is that another important aspect is that we have identified as a useful enhancement is the ability to add another layer of content or context information intended for special user groups. So apart from the metadata annotation provided on terms or the whole ontology, so further documentation or design patterns and choices which help user to better understand the ontology is usually provided in a scientific paper, or discussion is happening on mailing lists or development platforms. So having these information somehow also displayed in a terminology could be very, very useful. So, and with this, we had, as part of our contribution to the semantics conference last month in Leipzig, we had figured out what features from our experience are mostly requested from domain experts. So you can call it lesson learned so far. So one big feature is extensive list view for classes, listing GitHub issues for ontologies in a TS reporting issue system, and also the possibility to request new terms for ontology, reading, writing notes on ontology classes, property, individual, and an easy UI with some improvements for like keyboard navigation for previews, and also the possibility to resize so that they can see certain classes and dependencies better. And with this, I would stop